Welcome in this lecture. I am Dr. Bright Keswani, working in Suresh Gyan Vihar University. Uh, Today we will discuss about uh, software project management, and as you know that software managers are responsible for planning and scheduling software project development, and they supervise the work to ensure that it is carried out to the requirement standards, and they monitor progress to check that the development is on time and within the budget. So software managers do the same kind of job as other engineers project managers. However, engineering is distinct from other types of engineering in a number of ways that can make the software management particularly difficult, and there are some differences. There is a reason about these differences. The first is the software product is intangible. It cannot be seen or touched. Software project managers cannot see the progress and rely on others to produce the documentation needed to review progresses. So, the software product, we can say, is intangible. The second difference is there is no standard process. There is no clear understanding of the relationship between the software process and product types. Understanding of the software process has developed significantly in the past few years. However, we still cannot predict with certainty when particular software process is likely to cause development problems. So, there is no standard process, uh, and it is a major difference. Then, thirdly, large software projects are often one-off projects. New systems, as you know, that new systems that are different from previous projects are common, and there does not exist any large body of previous experience, and that can be used to reduce uncertainty in plans. So these are the main three type of differences that a software uh, that makes the software engineering is different from other types of engineering. And this is the management. uh, as per the management perspective, these are the three major differences. Now come to the our main uh, part of this lecture, that is software project management. The goal of project management is to ensure that software project a product that meets the quality specification of the requirement definition is produced on schedule and at the economically justifiable cost within the planned resources. Okay, so what is the purpose of software project management? The purpose of project management is to produce a software as per the client requirement, to produce timely uh, to produce the product timely and with an economically justifiable cost. Okay, so this is the reason why we are doing the why we are going through the software project management. And we can say that project management is a series of activities embedded in a process of getting things done on the project by work with members of the project team and with other people in order to reach the project schedule, cost, and the technical performance objectives. So we have various things. We have, when as I said earlier, that if we want to develop a quality product, we should make a plan. We should have a project software project management. These are some activities. Uh, uh, these are the tasks, you can say, or activities in project management. The primary tasks of project management are planning, organization, and technical and economic control of the project execution. And these are the major activities in project management. What are these activities? Proposal writing, project planning, project scheduling, project tracking, staff selection and evaluation, and project report writing. Let us discuss all these one by one. The first is project writing, which is a very important skill, and this is required by experience. It is a critical task as the existence of many software organizations depends on having enough proposals accepted and contracts awarded, and there can be no set guidelines for this task. So proposal writing is a skill, you can say, that is required acquired by experience. Okay. Second thing is project planning. So project planning is concerned with identifying the activities, milestones, and deliverables produced by a project. A plan must be drawn up to guide the development towards the project goals. The third activity is project scheduling. Project scheduling is one of the most difficult tasks of project management, and it involves separating the total work involved in a project into separate tasks and assessing when these tasks will be completed. Usually, some of these tasks are carried out in parallel, and project schedulers must coordinate these parallel tasks and organize the work so that the workforce is used optimally. The next activity of project management is project tracking. Project tracking is continuing project activity, and this activity is also known as project monitoring. The managers must keep track of the progress of the project and compare actual and planned progress and cost. Most organizations employ formal mechanism for monitoring, whereas a skilled manager can often monitor the project activities by informal discussion with project staff. And the informal discussions uh, will provide you the more suitable results than the formal discussions. Okay. Then the next activity during the project management is staff selection and evaluation, which is a very challenging task. And project managers usually have to select people to work on their projects, and ideally skilled staff with appropriate experience will be available to work on the project. However, in most cases, managers have to settle for a less than ideal project team. The project managers is usually responsible for project report writing to both the client and the contractor organizations. So, project managers must write concise, coherent document that abstract critical information from detailed project reports. So, staff, not only staffing is important, staff selection is also important, and it is a project management uh, activity. Regular appointment of uh, uh, skilled staff and evaluation of these staff is very much necessary. Uh, Project report writing is the important part, and it is another part which is it is another activity in project management, and it should be project manager should write concise and uh, detailed project reports in related to the project. Now come to the next point: software project management difficulties. Project management is a very difficult and challenging task, as I said earlier. There are several major difficulties in the project management. Some difficulties are, and all difficulties are classified into these categories. Uh, First is software system uniqueness. Second is possibility of multiple solutions. Third is individuality of programmers. Fourth is speed of technological advancement. And last one is invisibility of software product. So these are some challenging tasks, and you can say these are the major difficulties in a project management. Uh, Let us discuss uh, each one in detail. Uh, First difficulty is software system uniqueness. So, systems are developed only once. Data is too scarce to allow for reliable cost estimates. And cost estimates are usually based on the scope of the project, software system to be developed as estimated by the experienced software engineer. So generally, this provides an unreliable basis for calculation. So software systems are systems uniqueness is a major and difficult challenging task. Second is possibility of multiple solutions. There are particularly an unlimited number of possibilities for solving a given problem. We all know that a single problem have multiple solutions. The development of software product is not subject to the strict constraints and that apply for other technical products, and for software products the limits stem for complexity, and thus we difficult to determine in advance. So multiple uh, there is a possibility of multiple solution of a single problem, but appropriate selection of that problem, that solution, is very much difficult and challenging task. The third challenging task is individuality of programmers. Software engineers are individualists with large differences in capabilities, and this makes it particularly difficult to estimate staff cost. Every programmer have, every software engineer have a different type of capability, a different type of leadership, a different type of skills. So you cannot estimate. It is a, we can say it is a very difficult to judge. It is very much difficult to estimate their cost. Individualistics usually resist being forced into an organizational forest. So, working with individualists is a very difficult and challenging task. The fourth thing is speed of technological advancements. It is again a difficult and challenging task. The speed of technological advancement in hardware and software hinders uh, both planning and organization of software projects. So sometimes during the development of a large software system, new, more powerful components appear on the market that render the conception of the system uh, delay after its design and force redesign, and this can completely over turn existing planning. And uh, because the speed of technological changes advancements in the market, every day we are founding a new software, new component, new reusable tool or new development tool in the market. So it is very difficult to work in a changing, frequently changing technological environment. The project might also employ new software tools whose benefits are difficult to assess in advance. Okay, the last one is invisibility of software project. The invisibility of software product impacts their control, and it is difficult to assess how much of a software product is actually finished, and the programmer has many responsibilities for uh, changing the actual state of development, and control tasks are more difficult to carry out than with other technical projects. So these are some difficulties that, or you can say, challenging tasks and enforced on the project management or facing by the project management, software project management. Now come to the software project planning. How to resolve these difficulties? We have to plan for the project. So the purpose of software project planning is the purpose of software project planning is to establish reasonable plans for performing the software engineering and for managing the software project. And software project planning involves developing estimates for the work to be performed, establishing the necessary commitments, and defining the plan to perform the work. So, the software planning begins with a statement of work to be performed and other constraints and goals that define the bound the software project. The software project planning process includes several steps, include steps to estimate the size of the software work product and the resources needed, produce a schedule, identify and access software risks, and negotiate commitments. These are the steps, various steps of the software planning process. Iterating through these steps may be necessary to establish the software development plan, and this plan provides the basis for performing and managing the software projects activities and addresses the commitments to the software projects customer according to the resources, according to the constraints and capabilities of the software project. These are There are some goals of software project planning. Now we will discuss about the goals of software project planning. The first goal of software project planning, that software estimates are documented for use in planning and tracking the software project. Secondly, software project activities and commitments are planned and documented. And the third is affected groups and individual agrees to their commitments related to the software project. So these are some goals of software project planning. There are several activities of software project planning. Now we will discuss all the activities one by one. The software engineering group initiates software project planning in the early stages of the overall project planning. The software engineering group participates with other affected groups in the overall project planning throughout the project's life, and software project commitments made to individual and groups external to the organization are reviewed with senior management according to a documented procedure. A software lifecycle with predefined stages to manageable size is identified or defined. The project's software development plan is developed according to a documented procedure, and the plan for the software project is documented. These are the activities of software project planning. There are some more activities of software project planning. Let us discuss all other activities of software project planning also. Software work products that are needed to establish the main and maintain control of the software project are identified first, then estimate the size of the software work product, uh, that is derived from the document and documented to the procedure, documented the procedure, then estimate for the software project's efforts and cost according to the documented procedure, then estimates for the project's critical computer resources, uh, you can derive from the according to the documented procedure. Then the project software schedule is derived according to the documented procedure, and you have to assess, you have to plan for the software risks associated with the cost, with resources or schedule, and technical aspects of the project are identified, then assessed and documented. Then you have to plan for the project software engineering facilities and supporting tools. You have to prepare all of them. Then software planning data are recorded. So these are activities of software project planning, which is started from initiation, from the planning, from the understanding or from the identification of the requirement, and it ends with the recording of the planning of the data. Okay, come now we will discuss about the software project management plan, that is called SPMP, and these are the outline. This is the general format of SPMP, which is this. This is the eight points format of SPMP. According this format is prescribed by the IEEE in 1987. So after project software project planning is complete, the software project management managers document the software project planning results in the form of a document. Uh, we can call it as a software project management plan, SPMP document. And here the SPMP document structure provided by IEEE is outlined, and you can see it in the slide that there are uh, eight, uh, eight. This framework suggests 8 points outline. The first is introduction, second is project organization, third is managerial process, fourth is technical process, fifth is work packages, schedule and budget, and sixth is additional component, seventh is index, and eighth is appendices. So let us discuss about introduction. What comes under the introduction part? The introduction part is divided into five subsections. You can see in the slide, and it provides the project, the overview of the project and of the product to be developed. First is project overview, which provides a brief description. You can give a brief description of the project objectives, the product to be delivered, the activities and their resulting work products, and in addition, the milestones are listed, as are the required resources, the master schedule, and master budget. You can provide the overview, complete overview in the first subsection of introduction part. Project. The second subsection is project deliverables. All the items to be delivered to the client are listed here, together with the delivery dates. And in the third section, evolution of the software project management plan, no plan can be cast in concrete. The SPMP, like any other plan, requires continuous updation in the light of experience, and to change within both the client organization and the software component development organization. And in this section, the formal procedures and mechanisms are for changing the plan are described. In the reference material, In the reference material, all documents referenced in the SPMP are listed here. Definition and acronyms, uh, this information requires that the SPMP will be understood the same way by anyone. So these are the five subsections of this five subsections of this introduction part. The fifth section is definitions and acronyms. Okay. Now come to the second part of SPMP, that is project organization. It consists of four uh, subsections. The four subsections of the project organization sections specify how the product is to be developed, both from the viewpoint of the software process and the organizational structure of the developers. Okay, the first point is process model. The process model is specified in terms of the activities such as designing the product or performing product testing, and the project functions such as project management or configuration management. Key aspects here includes specification of milestones, baselines, reviews, work products, and deliverables. The uh, second subsection of the second section is organizational structure. The management structure of the development organization is described here. It is important to uh, uh, describe the lines of authority and responsibilities of the within the organization in this section subsection. The third subsection is organizational boundaries and interfaces. No project is constructed in a vacuum. The project members have to interact with the client organization and with other members of their own organizations. And in addition, subcontractors may be involved in a large project. Administrative and managerial boundaries within the project itself, and these other entities must be laid down. And in addition, main software development organization is divided into two types of groups, namely development group who work on a single project, and support groups who provide support functions such as configuration management and software quality assurance uh, on an organization wide basis. So administrative and managerial boundaries between the project group and the supported group must also be clearly defined in this subsegment sub section. The next subsection is project responsibilities. For each project function, such as you can say software quality assurance, and for each activity, such as product testing, the responsible individuals must be identified and mentioned here. The next section is managerial process. The five subsections of this section describes how the project is to be managed. So, management objectives and priorities is the first subsection. Second is assumption, dependencies, and constraints. Third is risk management. Fourth is monitoring and control mechanism. Fifth is staffing plan. So let us discuss uh, what comes under which subsection. Management activities and priorities. Uh, the philosophy, goals, and priorities for management are described here. The type of items that appear in this subsection of the plan may include frequency and mechanism of reporting, the relatively priorities among requirements, schedule, and budget for the project and risk management procedures. In the assumption uh, dependencies and constraint section, any assumptions and constraints in the specification document appears here in this subsection. The various risk factors associated with the project are listed in this subsection, that is called as risk management, as well as the mechanism used for tracking these risk factors, and reporting mechanism for the project are described in detail, including review and audit mechanism in the fourth subsection, that is monitoring and controlling mechanism, and in the last subsection, the staff who will be uh, the person who will be staffing the project constitute an important resources. The number and types of staff required are listed together with the duration for which they will be needed is uh, come in the mention in the staffing plan. Okay, let us come to the next point, that is point number 4 of this SPMP, the technical process. Technical process is divided into another three subsections. First is methods, tools, and techniques. Secondly, software documentation, and third is project support functions. Technical methods, tools, and techniques. Technical aspect of hardware and softwares are described in detail in this subsections, and items that should be covered, including the computing systems, that is hardware, operating system, and software to be used for developing the uh, product, as well as the target systems on which the product will be run is will be uh, elaborated in this section, and other necessary aspects including development techniques or testing techniques or team structure or programming language or case tools to be implied to be added in this section. Okay, then come to the next subsection, software development. This subsection contains the documentation requirement, namely the milestones, baselines, and reviews for the software documentation. The last subsection is project support functions, and this subsection details plans for the supporting functions such as configuration management and quality assurance, including test plans. So, supporting all supporting functions related to the project you can mention in this subsection. Now come to the fifth point of SPMP is work packages, schedule, and budget. This section is divided into five subsections: work packages, dependencies, resource requirement, budget and resource allocation, and schedule. In the subsection work packages, the work packages are specified with their associated products broken down into activities and tasks. In in the next section, that is dependencies, module coding follows designs and precedes integration. Testing is depicted or illustrated or mentioned in the dependencies section. In general, there will be interdependencies among the work packages and dependencies on external events, and in this subsection these dependencies are specified. To complete the project, a wide variety of resources will be required. Total resources are presented in the next section, that is resource requirement. In the next section, as its name shows, that budget and resource allocation. The various resources previously listed cost money, just as the resource needed vary with the time. So does the allocation of the budget to the various component resources. The allocation of resources and budget to the various project functions, activities, and tasks is presented in this section. And last one is schedule subsection. A detailed schedule is given for each component of the project, and this master plan will then be followed. It is hoped that the project will be completed on time and within budget. So these are the five subsections of fifth section. The last important section, that is additional component. For certain projects, additional components may need to appear in the plan. In terms of the IEEE framework, these appear at the end of the plan, and some additional components are also there, like subcontractor management plans, or security plans, or independent verification and validation plans, training plans, hardware procurement plans, installation plans, and product maintenance plans are also some additional components that should be mentioned in this additional components section. There is no compulsion on software development organization to follow IEEE SPMP framework, but they may also develop their own SPMP document structure, keeping in view the nature of the software project and the organization policies. However, most of the elements I discussed in this lecture are present in almost all the SPMP document structures created by various organizations. Okay, so uh, you have seen the structure of IEEE SPMP. Now, let us discuss about the benefits of IEEE SPMP. Although there are many other ways of drawing up SPMP, there are several benefits of following the SPMP standard, and few of uh, these are mentioned in this slide. That it is a standard. First, it is a standard drawn up by representative of many different organizations involved in software development. Secondly, this standard reflects the efforts of the people from both software industry and academia. Thirdly, the IEEE SPMP is designed for use with all types of software products, irrespective of their size. And lastly, new personal staff hired by organizations will not acquire any training. So these are some benefits of IEEE SPMP. SPMP is must. You have to, before going to develop the software project, you should prepare SPMP and follow the guidelines of IEEE given by IEEE in this regard. This is all about today's class. Now this is a time of assessment through multiple choice questions. The first question is, different activity of a project management is the options are project planning, project monitoring, project control, and all of above. So the project management is related to the project concerned with the project planning, project monitoring, and project control, all the activities. So the correct answer is D. Which of the following activities undertaken immediately after feasibility study and before the requirement analysis and specification phase? These are the activities: project planning, project monitoring, project control, and project scheduling. So project planning is the activity is undertaken immediately after feasibility study and before the requirement analysis and the specification phase. So the right answer is project planning. The third question, this activity is undertaken once the development activity starts. Which activity? Project monitoring and control activity is undertaken once the development activity starts. Okay, so the right answer is B. Which of the following activity is not the part of project planning. Project monitoring is not the part of project planning. Project estimation is the part of project planning. Project scheduling is the part of project planning. Risk, how to resolve the risk. So the risk management is the part of project planning, but monitoring, project monitoring is not the part of project planning. In the project planning, which of the following is considered as the most basic parameter based on which all other costs are made? Project size is the most uh, important or basic parameter. Okay, so the answer is A. During project estimation, project manager estimates the following. What manager estimates? Project manager estimates the project cost, duration of the project, and efforts of the project. So, all of the above is the correct answer. The next question, once project planning is complete, project manager documents their plan in SPMP document. Yes, it is the correct answer. All the planning project one project planning is documented in the SPMP document. The ways in which a software development organization can be structured: functional formation, project format, both or none. See both. Project format or functional formation. Which of the following is not a characteristics of a good software design? Which is not a characteristic of a good software design engineer? Ability to work in different teams. Yes, it is required. Good domain knowledge is required. Good communication skill is required for a good software engineer. But weak programming knowledge is not the desirable characteristic of a good software engineer. Okay, so the right answer is C. Let us discuss about the last question. Management of software development is dependent upon whom? Upon people, upon project, upon process, all of the above, all of the above. Management of software development is dependent upon people, product, and processes. Okay, so that's all about assessment activities. And if you have any query, then you can consult with these books. These are the reference books of software engineering. You can find out the project management chapter, separate chapter on project management in these books. And if you have any query, then you can consult with these books. Thank you.